broken piece of the moonstone fell to the ground. A being scattering a silver mane was hatching. If he was a cub, I could control him using the imprinting phenomenon, but this being wasn't such a naive creature. You've encountered a creature from a different world for the first time in this scenario. Affinity with a species from a different world has increased. 2,000 coins have been rewarded. You've received a bonus skill for smooth communication with the otherworld species. Otherworld Interpreter level 1 has been acquired. I could hear Han gulp next to me. It was natural to be nervous since the encounter with the otherworld species was a prelude to the 5th scenario. It was completely different from the previous scenarios. The slightest mistake in the 5th scenario could cause all of Seoul to disappear. The exclusive skill, Otherworld Interpreter level 1, is activated. The effect of the item protecting some of the immutars increased understanding of the specific language. The item I got from the fire truck will be helpful from now on. Automatic interpretation has started. I heard a voice from the shining moonstone. Damn, already? The creature curled up inside the moonstone grumbled and raised its body. The silver mane reminded me of a wolf at first glance, but I knew he was different from a wolf. Above all, I knew the species of this person. They're 3 meters tall, the dominant species of the world Kronos that could transform using the moonstone at night. They are fighters with monstrous physical strength who use the power of the wind. One of the 5 dominant species of Kronos. I am the Great First Wolf. In Kronos, they call the first wolf Immuntar. I'm Lycaon, of the Immuntar. There's a creepy breathing sound in the darkness of the night, causing the surroundings to be still. I made eye contact with him while Han hid behind me. Of course, I didn't back down. The exclusive skill character list is activated. Character information. Name, Lycaon Isparang. Age, 371 years old. Constellation support, Shadow of Destroyed World. Private attribute, Normal Immutar, Hero. Humiliated Survivor, Rare. Exclusive skills, Way of the Wind level 9, Advanced Weapon Training level 9, Roar of the Battlefield level 8, Sage's Insight level 4, Steel Skin level 8, Acting level 4, Stigma, Destruction Delivery level 1, Overall stats, Physique level 75, Strength level 75, Agility level 75, Magic Power level 75. Overall evaluation, one of the 5 dominant species of the destroyed Kronos. After losing his world, he invested in the Star Stream and became a guide in the scenario. He is characterized by always looking at the world with eyes filled with remorse. As expected, the hero of another world had great skills and stats. The average stats was level 75. He exceeded the current limit of the scenario. He was the goal of many representatives. Lycaon's blue eyes looked down at me like I was interesting. You are the ones who woke me up? I nodded. I see. Is it finally time? Congratulations on clearing the tutorial scenarios, warriors of this world. It sounded like a tutorial. It was funny how he imitated the dokubis for dramatic effect. There was no tutorial in this world. Every scenario was an actual event, and the dead couldn't come back again. Then what type of tutorial existed? Those who are facing extinction. First, I deeply regret that a disaster has come to your world. Lycaon spoke while looking up at the sky. He was looking at the Great Hall over Seoul. A huge vortex reminiscent of a black hole was gradually increasing its volume every moment. Lycaon would have also seen the Great Hall on the day his world was destroyed. All guides in the scenarios were those who had lost their homes to the scenarios. Since I'm here, you can rest assured. I am a guide to stop the destruction of this world. I will train you to prepare for the disaster, and give you the necessary instructions, and... Came out quite hastily, but he was good at reciting the words. He probably got a manual from a dokubi. Lycaon suddenly stopped talking. By the way, you were the only ones who woke me up? Just us. Strange. The 4th scenario isn't cleared? If it has been cleared properly, the 5 guides, including myself, would be hatched in the same place. Where's the owner of the Absolute Throne? He was right. Originally the 5 guides, including Lycaon, would gather as soon as the Master of the Absolute Throne was born. I spoke to Lycaon. We have no king. There's no king? Did the Master of the Absolute Throne die? No way. At present, there's no way to kill the Master of the Absolute Throne. Lycaon expresses disbelief in a threatening manner. There's no owner of the Absolute Throne from the beginning. What does that mean? We cleared the 4th scenario without getting the Absolute Throne. Flames appeared in Lycaon's eyes. Are you lying to me right now? Such a thing is impossible. The 4th scenario doesn't end until someone takes the throne. There's also the method of destroying the Absolute Throne. Lycaon's expression stiffened. He seemed to grasp my words and his eyes widened. Perhaps. The embarrassment of such a noble hero was really worth seeing. His silver mane quivered as he looked closely at me. The numerous constellations. Surely you didn't destroy the throne. That's right. How could you do such a terrible thing? Lycaon let out many curses that I couldn't hear properly. Hansu looked at the bellowing Lycaon and whispered to me, "Hey, was it that serious?" Hansu had also received Otherworld Interpreter and heard the conversation. Lycaon screamed before I could answer. "Why did you do that? Now there's no one in the world under the banner of that great god?" "No." "Ugh! The Starstream constellations didn't care about Kronos. Now this world is ruined. Living things with less intelligence than a kobold should do their jobs!" I felt scorn as I watched despairing Lycaon. Yes, this was the essence of those guys. On the surface, they were dispatched to help this world. However, they had a separate purpose that I would never let happen. Prince of the Immutar, Lycaon Isperang. It's too early to be frustrated. The prideful Prince of the Immutar immediately responded to the change in my attitude. He growled out angrily, "Cheeky human! Show respect in front of a great species. You don't know the weight of your sin!" Lycaon, didn't you see anything when your world perished? The Immutar were the ruling species of Kronos, not Earth. Lycaon's expression stiffened. I didn't miss this gap and continued. There were 5 disasters that destroyed your world. What? The southern continent of Kronos, where you lived, was destroyed by the dragon, right? Lycaon's eyes filled with disbelief. How do you know this? Fire Dragon Igneal, the disaster of burning hell. It's the name of the disaster that destroyed your world. The small disaster that I killed, Lesser Igneal, was originally a disaster. A single flame could turn a small city into a sea of fire, and a single flap of its wings could destroy a lower species. The southern continent of Kronos was destroyed by him, the fire dragon that woke up from a meteorite. Lycaon gritted his teeth. You're speaking like it's someone else's story. You'll regret it. Pretty soon, your world will also struggle in that hot hellfire. Don't worry, Igneal won't come down to this world. What? I've already killed him. There'll be no burning hell disaster in this world. Lycaon had a bemused expression, like he heard his helmet had been brought back. It's the best joke I've ever heard. Is there such a joke in this world? Is it fun to joke about that the world will soon cease to exist? Well, of course not. I pulled out a blue-colored medallion. Then, like magic, Lycaon's laughter subsided. The protection symbol of the Immutar. Lycaon's shaking hands reached out to take the medallion. Why? How do you have this? The protection symbol of the Immutar was proof that a person hunted a disaster dragon. Lycaon of the Immutar pays respects to the Protector. Lycaon's body slowly fell. First his knees touched the ground, slowly followed by his head. There was a severe shaking in his eyes like he couldn't admit it. Do it properly. Before long, his head touched the ground. He was over 3 meters tall, so it wasn't until he fell down that his eyes were lower than mine. I looked down at Lycaon. This was the useful part of catching the fire dragon. Hansung wasn't able to grasp the situation yet, and looked at Lycaon with confused eyes. I was almost killed by Hansung's brutality, but she ended up making things easier. Lycaon spoke in a quivering voice. Great Dragon Hunter. With the benefit of hindsight, I'd like to ask you to forgive my rudeness. My name is Kim Dokcha. Once again, I thought that my name wasn't that great. This would be a great scene if my name was Yu Zhongok. I added a quick remark to diffuse the awkward atmosphere. Lycaon, there is something I need you to do. Lycaon carefully looked up. Teach me the way of the wind, the secret technique of your people. Lycaon's eyes slowly became bigger. This was my purpose behind hatching Lycaon. The southern disaster of the fire dragon had disappeared, so the first disaster of the 5th scenario would surely be the east disaster. In order to prevent the catastrophe in the east, I needed to gain the secret technique of the Immutar. Way of the wind. It was the only answer to the disaster of the east, the disaster of questions. An hour later, I explained the situation to Han Suyong, who hadn't been able to follow the conversation. Then, the medallion you got from killing the fire dragon is an important thing for them? Yes. I still don't understand. The fire dragon you killed at that time was one of the disasters. That's right. Then in the 5th scenario, we had to prevent 4 instead of 5 disasters. You seem to understand, yet not understand. Han Suyong frowned. I still don't understand. Didn't you kill Lesser Igneal? Isn't he a deteriorated dragon? So why is he the disaster? Is this also a development in ways of survival? Everything that hatches from a disaster meteor is a disaster. That guy came out instead of Igneal, so Igneal won't appear in this disaster. In addition, Igneal didn't appear in the original. Igneal's hatchling came out. It's only the 5th scenario, so how can something like that wake up already? You speak well. Are you a spokesman for ways of survival? Are you actually the writer? The scenario difficulty was ridiculous, but was adjusted so that it could be clear to people risk their lives. Of course, the adjustment was carefully controlled. The lesser Igneel, the deteriorated version of the hatchling, had annihilated the Prophets, which could be called the elite troops at the time. Was that all? I was once killed by that dragon. If it wasn't for a king of no killing, I wouldn't be standing here. If Lesser Igneel had been released into Seoul and continued to level up, Seoul would have ended up the same as Lycaon's hometown. Of course, Hansung had no knowledge of such matters and was busy complaining. Anyway, aren't the disasters a bigger deal than I thought? I have a lot of trouble grasping the scale because of the way it was expressed in ways of survival. We were lucky with the fire dragon. The disasters that will come will be in their original state. Terrible beings will appear. It was pleasant to see the expression of the plagiarist writer at the word original. Then what should we do? We have to use that guy. I looked at Lycaon, who was preparing for the training in a distant place. Hansung asked, "He looks strong. Do you want him to fight?" That guy is a coward. In addition, the guys are prohibited from fighting against the disasters of another world. We had to take care of our work on our own. I heard Lycaon calling out to me. "Protector, I'm ready." Protector was the title for the owner of the medallion. I told him to call me by my name a few times, but Lycaon didn't yield. "From now on, I will teach you the secret technique of my clan, the Way of the Wind." The Way of the Wind. It was a hidden skill that allowed the user to use the wind like their own limbs. Among the other species, only those with the protection symbol of the Immutar could learn this skill. Yuzhonga was originally scheduled to obtain this, but not this time. I couldn't give the strong person all the good skills. Then I'll start. For the next 3 hours, I sweated hard to learn the skill. It would be nice if the system had a message like, "Would you like to learn the skill?" But this wasn't possible. It was only possible to gain the skill by learning it directly. I had read the novel, so I was able to follow Lycaon's movement a little bit. To be exact, I thought I was following it. Approximately 1 more hour passed. Lycaon hesitated before opening his mouth. "Protector, I'm sorry to say this, but